Let me share this. Well, there goes the Bose Flex. Hey guys, this is Danny behind the camera, and I figured I'd just kind of do an overview of my entire speaker collection today. This is only some of it, and the reason for this video is just to give you my kind of raw, unfiltered thoughts about some of the speakers that I currently have. And, you know, a lot of people have their own opinions on my channel, which is great and fine, but at the end of the day, my channel is not super technical. It really comes down to me just listening to a speaker raw and being truthful as to whether I feel like it's a good speaker or not. Obviously, there's some EQ and lots of adjustments you can do and different ways you can listen to audio in different codecs and different systems. But you know, some speakers just sound better than others. And so I figured I'd just share that with you today and kind of walk through my house as well, so you can see what my favorite speaker is that I've been using currently and what I think about these guys. So I guess we'll start up here. So as you can see, I've got a nice little slurry of speakers here. This is the Wonderboom III. I absolutely love the color of this guy. It's got a super sound mode. This little tree here accentuates some of the highs on frequency, so it cuts better if there's a lot of other errant noise competing with it. The only thing that sucks about this speaker, let me share this. Well, there goes the Bose Flex. This thing's durable though, so I'm not too worried about it. The only thing about this Wonderboom here is that it's still got a micro USB-C in it, and that kind of sucks. Like, every other speaker that's modern nowadays uses USB-C. The problem with USB-C micro, or whatever it's specifically called, is that the cables wear out super fast and they break. The connections die. It's just not a well-designed cable. And I have a feeling it was a reused part from the Wonderboom IIs. And honestly, for the Wonderboom here, the 3 versus the 2, there's really not a noticeable difference. There's some, I think, slightly better specifications, but I think it should come down more to color choice than which one's the more modern version. But this is actually a really good sounding speaker. I've been really impressed with it, and I like the form factor of it, and I like the colors. Moving on next here, this is the Bose Flex. A lot of you have probably seen this on my channel. Oof, look at that dust right there. I don't listen to these speakers every day, obviously. This is still one of the best sounding speakers I've got in my collection. I normally am not very impressed by Bose. I think it's kind of a brand that has really good marketing, but doesn't always have the best product. But the Bose Flex is kind of like a top tier, smaller speaker. This one stands out amongst the rest. Like, the bass on this guy is buttery smooth. It's got an older Bluetooth codec in it, but I think it's Bluetooth 4.2, but it seems to get pretty good range, and I've never had any problems with it. I think it's just like kind of an old, reliable speaker. It's a good speaker. It's definitely one of my favorites. This guy, if you're just looking for like a no-brainer speaker that's, you know, is going to be good, or you want it to be good, this is definitely the ticket. That's a good choice right there for almost anybody. Moving on here. Oh, here we go. We got some Marshall boys here. The Marshall Willen here, definitely a beautiful little speaker. I really enjoy using this thing. The clamp system's kind of weird here. You basically, I can't even do it with one hand. Oh, there you go. It's got this little strap here. You wrap it around a pole or something like that, or on your bicycle, and then you can listen to it there. It's not super cheap. I think it's about 120 bucks-ish. You know, the Bose Flex here is probably like 150-ish at the top. I've seen it go down to like 120 as well, though. So there you go. If your form factor is not an issue for you, the Bose Flex is definitely going to be better. But look at this guy right here. This is the Tribit Micro 2? God, I'm forgetting the names. This thing will blow you away. This is an incredible value speaker right here. It sounds about twice as big as its size. And I honestly say, in my opinion, I think it sounds just as good as the Marshall. Maybe a little bit smoother from my last test, but that really varies from song to song. It becomes subjective at a certain point. But yeah, this thing is like a stupidly good value. I think I saw it for like, I think it's like a $70 speaker, maybe less. But for what it is, this thing works really well. Tribit as a brand has been really good about being progressive and putting like the best technology in their things, and they definitely stand out amongst like the slurry of random Chinese manufacturers out there. So looking for a small speaker, this Tribit's a good bet. As well as the Marshall Willen if you like the look, because it is a beautiful speaker. All right, look at these guys up here. You might recognize these boys. This is the, up top is the Marshall Emberton II, and this is the Marshall Emberton I. The Marshall Emberton I here is the speaker that kind of blew me away when I first started listening to speakers. In fact, this is what kind of inspired me to start reviewing speakers on my channel. I just really loved this speaker. I was like, it's amazing, because it sounds like twice as big or maybe 3 times as big as the size. You know, now that I've listened to a lot of speakers, it's not held as in high regard as I used to hold it, just because there's other things that came along that really blew it away. But this is still a great speaker. And what I really appreciate is the form factor and the durability of it, being like IP, I think this is IPX7 and the new one's IP67. So like for camping and stuff, this is an excellent speaker with super good battery power. But to tell you here, the Marshall Emberton versus the Marshall Emberton II, there's not a huge difference in sound. There is, though, in specs. Like, if you have a choice, definitely go for the Marshall Emberton II, purely because it can stack with other Embertons. It's got way more battery life. The sound isn't that much better. It's got some profiles you can use on the phone to, like, boost the bass, or I think there's, like, an audio book mode as well. The Marshall Emberton II is worth it to get, but not really for the sound, more for the extra features that it has. They're probably offloading a lot of these original Marshall Embertons. I wouldn't expect to see these on the market that much more, but you might see them on sale, which if it's on sale for me, I would never get it. But if cost is a big factor for you, that might be what makes sense. But the Marshall Emberton II I think is definitely a little bit better. But look, they're like literally almost the same form factor. Very, very subtle differences there. As you can see over here, I've got the beautiful JBL Flip 5. This is another one of those speakers I reviewed really early on. It still sounds really good for a mono speaker. Yeah, I like the way it produces bass. It's a pretty buttery smooth speaker. I have no real complaints with it. What I like about JBL is honestly that they look cool. I like the color selection here. If you look down here, I've got the JBL Flip 6, which kind of the same way as the Marshall Embertons. There's really not a huge difference in sound quality between the Flip 5 and the Flip 6. It's got a giant logo on it. Look at how big that logo is compared to that little baby logo. Yeah, they sound about the same. And honestly, the features are about the same. Realize that if you're going to do pairing with these two speakers, you can't do it. You can only do mono party mode between these two guys because they're a different generation. If you want to do like true stereo pairing with the JBL stuff, you have to get two of the same generation, I believe, because these would not pair in stereo when I tried them. But these are a really good value, really good speaker. JBL is owned by Harman Kardon, and they make good stuff. And you will not be sorry with any JBL speaker. They're very high quality. These are kind of like the Honda of speakers, I would say. You know, the Bose is more like the Buick or the Cadillac of speakers. The Marshall, I don't even know. The Marshall would be some sort of weird European, like a Peugeot or a Renault or some weird foreign brand, but they look cool. And then little guy behind here we got. This is the Earfun UBoom L. I was sent this one for free a while ago. The big thing about this guy was that it was tuned by Olaf, and it's got some software updates that apparently make it sound even better. Right off the bat, I wasn't super impressed with it, but the more I've listened to this guy, the more I've been impressed with the sound overall. It's actually got really good balanced sound. I'd say the biggest thing it's not got going for it is just This is boring looking. I'm really not a fan of boring looking speakers. Like, I'm all about the fashion, which I know can be superficial. But if you're looking for a speaker that's got a lot of unique features for a pretty good cheap price, the Earfun is going to set you up nicely. I would still always try to go for like a top tier brand or AAA brand. I'd consider the Earfun still kind of like not quite there, but being very aggressive about getting up to like top tier status. And some people religiously love this thing. I have not updated the software yet. I am not a technology guru. Updating the software is kind of cumbersome. I know somebody in the comments is gonna be like, it's really easy to do actually. It's like, well, when you have a full-time job and it's just, I don't know, I'm just lazy maybe. But yeah, off the bat, it sounds pretty decent. And then of course, behind all these guys, we've got the Marshall Acton III here. This is a top contender for one of the best speakers I've used. I don't know why. The thing just sounds great. It's just a massively good sounding speaker, good looking. I like the manual control knobs on it. When you turn it on, they all light up, and then you can adjust it that way digitally. It's got a focus. This camera really struggles at focusing. It's got a pause, play, rewind, forward button, and then a manual toggle switch they brought back. They took that away on the second series of Marshall speakers, but they brought it back because it was really popular. So Marshall's been doing a good job. I really like their sound profile. If you're looking kind of for that extremely warm, buttery, smooth sound that complements like 70s rock music, this is the way to go. It is probably, this speaker is just, I don't know. When I listen to this, I feel like I'm really in tune with the music. It's not some sort of technical thing that I can explain. It's the way it feels when I turn it on. It feels right, and it's beautiful. And I think all those things coming together kind of really make me enjoy using it. If you're curious about this painting in the back, this is an excerpt from a Hieronymus Bosch painting, I think Heaven or Hell. It was just a little fish couple. I just had it framed. Super random. Everything's gonna fall off this stand here eventually. So moving on down here, you'll notice I got the Marshall Middleton, the middle boy. Oh, and behind it I've got a Tribit. I think this is the XSound Mega. I don't really like this speaker. It just sounds kind of muddy to me. There's nothing terribly wrong with it, but it's just not terribly impressive. I definitely go for the Earfun over this guy. But yeah, back to the Middleton here. I just reviewed this guy. Some people freaking love this thing. They are really impressed with it. I think it's good. I think it's a really good and it's a beautiful speaker. And it's about time Marshall made something that was a little bit more substantial and portable size with upgraded tech. Because their Woburn II, which a lot of people are really interested in, just sounds boxy to me. I do not like the sound of that speaker. So this Middleton is definitely a better sounding speaker, but I don't know. The sound kind of just sounds pretty heavily processed to me. With some EQing on here, like upping the treble and the bass, you can get this thing to sound really tight and nice. I've done that with a few songs, and I do really like it. But it just, on first power on, first song, the thing didn't like blow me out of the water. I just didn't like feel it in my soul that this was the best speaker that Marshall's come out with. Like it just, it's middle of the road. I don't want to deter you from buying it though, because I think it actually is a pretty great value for a really cool portable speaker. But it just, like this thing is currently $299, and the Acton III here is $279. And obviously this one's not portable, but the sound quality out of this is far superior to a portable speaker for less money. So really you're just paying for that portability. But I do love that they have the treble and the bass adjustment on there. And then it also will show you when you power it on what volume or treble bass setting you have on here. So you really don't have to have an app to screw with this thing unless you want to use stacking mode for it, which stacking this with another speaker, another Middleton, would sound amazing, no doubt. It can also stack with the Willen or the Marshall Emberton 2. And then below here, you've got the Marshall Stanmore. The Marshall Stanmore III. You can tell the 3 series because they have this smaller band down here. Here's the Marshall I. You can tell the pattern of the grill here is quite a bit different, a little bit more dated looking on the original Marshalls. They've updated it so that the logo stands out better, and just refined the style a little bit. I absolutely love the way the Stanmore III looks. But the thing I don't love about it is it really doesn't sound that much better than the Acton III. It just doesn't do it for me. It just sounds like a slightly more bass-heavy Acton III. But it's also quite a bit more expensive, so I don't want to say it's really worth it. A lot of people ask me, well, should I get the Acton III or should I get the Stanmore III? And I usually just tell them, just go with the Acton III. It's cheaper. In terms of sound quality, they're almost exactly the same. Like, it's just, the Acton III is not much more quiet than the Stanmore III. The Acton III will still give you that giant room-filling sound, and so will the Stanmore, but it just costs less. So the only thing you get with the Stanmore III really over the Acton III is that you can put RCA inputs into it, and you can use that to like listen to a record player or something like that. But the control scheme on top here is the same. See, there's the RCA inputs. This lens sucks at focusing. It's a brand new lens I got. But you can see the RCA inputs right back there. Let's see. Here is the Soundcore Motion Plus. I kind of forgot the name, honestly, because this thing never really stood out to me. I love the red color, and I love the rubber build quality of this guy, and some people are crazy about this speaker in terms of being able to EQ it and getting really good sound. I never really EQ'd it super hard, but it is a pretty capable speaker for the price. Like, you're getting a really substantial sound system. I just don't like the design of it personally. Like, it just looks boring to me. I don't know. I thought the red would spruce it up, but it ends up kind of falling in the same category of like excitement as the Tribit XSound Mega, which is way more boring, but some people really love this guy. If you're looking for a speaker that you can do some good EQ with, this might be the ticket for you if you can't step up to like a more expensive speaker. But for me, like, initial turn on, even with the bass mode on it, I just didn't really stir my soul. That's really what it comes down to me, is like, does it make me feel emotional? Like, the music is really being served justice initially. I don't want to work to change my music. I just want it to sound good out of the box. I know that's lazy, but I'm not a freaking audiophile. So deal with it. There are other people that do that on YouTube, and I'm not about that. Here's the Marshall Woburn I. These are kind of getting rare now. This is not as common anymore. Look at the detail work on here. This is also made in China, but it's got like this gold band on it. And then obviously they upgraded to like a gold steel bar on the 3 series. The Woburn I is still an incredible sounding speaker. This had the original flip switch there. It's super loud. And just manual knobs. I think the general consensus among most people is that the 1 series of Marshall speakers are probably the best sounding. I don't really know why. I honestly, it just, like, the components inside may be slightly different. I think they changed speaker manufacturers from here to the 2 and then the 3. But for some reason, these things just sound really good. And when they upgraded to the 2 series, which you'll see here in a little bit, it didn't sound quite as good to me. If you can find a 1 series, you can usually, if they're not getting too rare, you can find them for a pretty good price. Oh God, I thought something was about to fall on me. Oh, okay. I heard something slip. But yeah, this is an awesome, incredible speaker. I don't use it as much anymore just because it's slower to connect to Bluetooth because it's an older system and I'm getting spoiled by the new stuff. But you want a beautiful sounding speaker, these Marshall Woburn ones are freaking incredible. Yeah, they're nice. They're spectacular speakers. They're just getting a little more dated. Moving on down here. This is the Divoom Ditoo. I don't think this thing has power right now, but this is actually a really impressive speaker. I thought this was just a gimmick, but it's, in terms of like, look at that thing go. In terms of like a fun little speaker, this thing actually punches way above its weight. It definitely doesn't have a ton of bass to it, but the treble is incredibly crystal clear on this. So if you were like trying to do like vocals and like quiet listening, this thing, it has kind of an exceptional value I haven't heard from any other speaker. It tends to color the noise a little bit more brightly, but not so bright that it feels distorted. It actually holds a lot of the finer details. You'll be really impressed by the sound quality of the speaker. Actually, I adore this thing. I love the mechanical keys here. You know, they're trying to imitate the Cherry Blues, even though they're not. And like select stuff, you use the little knob. This is kind of a great stocking stuffer, honestly. Anyways, that's just a fun one. It's usually around $100. Not a bad deal for how it feels. It's actually made out of metal. I think it's metal. It certainly feels like it. I don't know. It feels high quality. Moving on. And speaking of speakers that also punch way above their weight, these Anker Soundcore Motion booms here are really, really impressive. This is the, I believe this is the Motion Boom, and this is the Motion Boom Plus. These things are actually pretty cheap for what they are. This guy right here sounds about, you know, this is kind of like a Flip 5, a JBL Charge 5 is what it is. It just, you know, it looks different. This one, not as impressive to me. It sounds really good, but it doesn't sound good enough for really the size that it is. And it's honestly not that much cheaper. If I remember right, it's not significantly cheaper than just stepping up to the Motion Boom Plus here. This guy punches way above its weight. When I did my speaker test with most loudspeakers, or like loud portable speakers, like this against like the Tufton and the UrbanEars Hyperboom, this thing actually was just as loud. I'm pretty sure on my decibel test, it wasn't that much more quiet. And for the price, it's pretty incredible. It's also super light. And I think it has like 20 plus hours of battery. So you can this would be like a great beach speaker or outdoor speaker if you have a big group, you're trying to push out a little bit more sound. Just for the price and the amount of sound you're getting out of it and the clarity, the sound is very clear on it. This is a really good buy. This is one that I actually end up using a lot just because it's so convenient and light. Yeah. The only thing, again, I would say about the Anker Soundcore Motion stuff, it's just kind of boring, you know? Like, I think their style is kind of lame. It's not very exciting. But the sound quality is there, and that definitely makes a huge difference. You can also EQ these things and a bunch of stuff. This is a beautiful sounding speaker for what it is. All right, let's see. Moving on. If you guys want to know, actually, a speaker that I use a lot that I don't talk about, here's my editing station. This Logitech THX set, which you can get on Amazon for pretty cheap, these things sound freaking amazing. This is like an incredibly old design. I think it's been around for like 15, 20 years. My speakers are about 7 years old, and I use these to edit all my videos. And if you're looking for like a good solid set of computer speakers, these are the way to go, to be honest. There's the little the boom box down there. These things are pretty cheap, and honestly, I've tuned it. I've edited with them so much that I know exactly how my videos are going to kind of come out. And yeah, these are a great set. If you're looking for computer speakers, these guys are the way to go. I actually bought a way more expensive set of computer speakers a while ago. I bought some Norway brand, I can't remember, that were like studio monitors, like actual professional studio monitors. And I listened to them and they were just so neutral that I didn't like the sound. And I went back to these guys and I was like blown away with how good they sounded in comparison. So these will, if you're just looking to enjoy your sound, you're not necessarily looking to do like studio mixing, these are a great choice. Even though for my YouTube stuff, I edit all my videos with these speakers. They're great. So moving on here. Oh, here's the Polaroid P2. I think if you guys saw this video, you remember me not being super crazy about this thing. Beautiful, cool, fun looking speaker, but just it ends up sounding a little boxy. It's just not really super impressive. This is also Polaroid's first time to ever dive into speakers. Good attempt by them because they were trying to do some really new stuff with this. Like they were trying to force you to kind of listen to their own little radio station app and just, you know, instead of choosing your music, just let them choose it for you. But it's just really, I don't think they're there. I think they kind of had a half-baked idea when they put this out. But very cool design, just the sound doesn't back up the design, unfortunately. I've also got some headphones up here. You guys have seen my headphone reviews. You've got the Marshall, the Apple AirPod Maxes, the Bose, the Sony, and then the Marshalls here. The ones I end up going for most, to be completely honest with you nowadays, is I end up usually going for the Apples. Like they just feel so nice, and they're just such a premium feel that I think that's half of it. They're also just really comfortable, beautiful speakers. I just love them. They just feel like a high quality product. The second ones I end up going for usually that are super light, by the way, the XM5s here. I'm probably getting the name slightly wrong. I know there's a bigger name to it, but the Mark V. These guys are really nice. If you're looking for that premium 360-degree sound experience, these guys will do it for you. I also really like the material these are made out of. It's a plastic, I think, but it almost feels more like a fiberglass shell or something. I don't know. These are probably the second best headphones I have up here, to be honest. The Marshalls are good too, especially for people with smaller ears. But I prefer the Sonys, and then like I said, like I usually end up grabbing the Apples just because they feel so premium. There's something to having like a metal shell on your speakers. And then of course, if you want the on-ear versus over-ears, you've got these Marshall, screw it, I forgot which one's called the Monitor. Anyways, there's a lot of names and it's really easy to forget them all, but these are really good high-quality sounding headphone if you just want on-ears. I like using those like if I'm doing like walking or something sometimes where I don't want ears to get hot and sweaty. Anyways, God, this camera's heavy. Moving into the studio space here, it's kind of a mess because I've been rearranging things for live streams and stuff that I've been working on. But I've got some speakers in here for you guys. And there's my Danny Pop sign. Siobhan bought this for me for a birthday present. Apparently it was like custom made, and she worked with the designer to get the logo just right, so I thought that was kind of cool. I really appreciated it. Here we go. Ooh, you can barely see it. There we go. The lighting's better. Here's the Tribit Blast. This is like a freaking heavy speaker, by the way. It's so heavy. But if you want bass for cheap, this guy is the way to go. I'll power it on so you can see the lights here. It's this thing punches well above its weight in terms of bass. But sometimes it sounds muddy. That's the only thing I'll say about it. Sometimes it doesn't sound entirely great. Going down here to the Marshall Woburn II. This is probably my least favorite series. The 2 series of Marshall speakers is my least favorite. They all sound kind of muddy to me. There's like too much digital processing happening or something. A lot of people will say on my videos that the Marshall Woburn II sounds better than the 3 series, but I honestly will tell you that the recordings end up making this one sound better for some reason. I'm not sure why, but in person, this actually sounds way more muddy to me. It feels like it's losing something that from the original audio. That's why I would not recommend the 2 series to anybody, especially like the worst one is the Acton II. The Acton II is the worst sounding Marshall speaker. Maybe not as bad as the Kilburn II though. That one is probably my worst. When people ask me to recommend those, I'm just like, no, I don't like them. Here's my other Marshall Woburn I here. This was the first one I bought. I got the second one to do some comparison stuff with, but yeah, I have 2 of these. I might try and end up giving one of these away, doing like a giveaway or something with one of these 1 series. Since I have 2 now, it's probably time to start offloading some of this stuff. But the reason I have all these speakers is for reference. So if somebody is like, hey, which one sounds better, I'll go listen to them and usually give them my opinion on it. Because you've got to base it in some sort of factual experience that you can replicate, even if it is subjective. And then here's the Marshall Tufton. You guys have seen this one a lot recently. This is a phenomenal speaker. When I first got it, I actually wasn't super impressed, but the more I listen to this thing over the years, the more impressed I get with it. It has a nice, beautiful, buttery sound. I still think this is the best buy for like a portable Marshall speaker. I want them to update it. I want them to put more updated technology in it while maintaining that beautiful, rich sound. It's getting a little dated, but it's still really nice. And yeah, I just like the design. Ugh, it's a little heavy, not too bad. Oh. This over here, you guys probably didn't notice this, but this is also from Sound Industries, the same people who make Marshall. This is an UrbanEars Ralis. This is a great sounding speaker. It's not the best, but these things I think they kind of went out of production. They weren't selling too hot, but this is actually a really good sounding speaker for the price. You can get these for like $100. Honestly, I'd recommend this like over the Marshall Middleton. Get in there. Oh. And then we've got the God, the lighting sucks in here for this. This is a Marshall Acton I. This one is the one I used in my garage a lot when I was doing woodworking. Phenomenal sounding speaker. Absolutely phenomenal. The Acton ones were cheap and they sounded great. There's really not much more to it. They were really, really high quality sounding speaker. And in fact, I have this one over here that I encased in walnut when I was doing a wood project once. It's just kind of a nice looking little wood speaker. This is just an old radio. This Motorola is an old radio with an Amazon device inside of it. I just thought it looked cool. Oh yeah, I've never talked about this guy. You guys probably don't even know what this is. This is a very special speaker. I kind of hate it though because of this stupid guy. If you know what this is, you know it's related to a famous musician. Yeezy. Yeah, the stem player, I believe is what the common term is. This is not really so much a speaker as it is kind of like a remixing tool for Kanye West music. It comes with like one of his albums on it and you can remix it. It's actually a really interesting design, and you can also use the auxiliary port to hook it up to a bigger speaker to export the sound, and you can do some cool stuff with it. But because Kanye's an anti-Semite, I'm not real happy with this speaker. Like, it's just, the guy's kind of a douchebag, so kind of ruined this a little bit for me. Like, he's a very thoughtful, interesting person, but because of the viewpoints he has on a lot of like common sense things, like not being racist or bigoted towards other people, this one kind of now has a little bit of a scar for me. I don't know what to do with it. Get your picture taken. All right, well, moving on. You guys have been very patient through this video. I'm about to show you the speaker I actually use for most of my listening throughout the day. I'm doing a review on silverware coming up here soon. Here it is. This is the Marshall Woburn III. And this is the speaker I keep out in my living room when I want to listen to podcasts or really pretty much anything. It shoots through the house. It sounds like it's like way bigger. This is just an awesome sounding speaker. Honestly, between this and the Marshall Woburn I tend to prefer the Woburn III, not necessarily because of 100% the sound, but just because it has a lot of extra features. It's quick to connect. It's a smarter speaker that I can control from my phone. Versus the Woburn I don't even think you can control it through your phone. The Bluetooth technology is so outdated, so I end up using this guy a lot. And also I kind of had this random space by my couch that I thought like this would fit there nicely. And yeah, this thing sounds freaking great. You can do RCA on it. You can also do HDMI direct into your TV with this. So you could play this kind of as like a TV speaker if you wanted. It's just, this represents kind of the best of what Marshall and Sound Industries does right now. So if you want to know what my favorite speaker in my house currently is, it's the Marshall Woburn III. That's a great speaker. It's super expensive, but I love it. I love the juicy sound of it. I love the EQ that you can do it with the knobs and on the phone. See right there? I love the lights. But if you want to know what speaker I actually regret getting rid of, it was my Vifa Oslo. I had that in one review, and the sound honestly kind of blew me away how smooth and tight it was. But it was just an insanely expensive speaker, and I ended up getting rid of it. I ended up returning it, but I kind of wish I had brought it back. So in its place, I have the Marshall Woburn III. Those are not comparable speakers, but yeah, I miss my Vifa. Those are really good, and I really wish Vifa would release some updated speakers because I would love to get back into them, but I feel like they're just not worth the cost they're asking for them anymore because they're so outdated. But anyways, this was a hellaciously long video. Let me know if you liked it, me talking about it. Sorry, I missed the Klipsch one here. We'll talk about this one later, but that's a great speaker, by the way. That's actually an excellent speaker. I have reviews on that. Yeah, hopefully you like this video of me just kind of ranting about my speakers. Let me know what you guys think. If you made it to the end, you get a gold star. You're probably also insane to have watched this for the 35 minutes that it's been on or whatever. So thanks for watching, guys. Bye.